After you have your whole fish painted with a base layer of watercolor, we get to use colored pencil to really make the details stand out. The reason we painted first is to be time efficient so that we have some base color everywhere. This is especially helpful if you happen to have a student, one of you, for example, who is maybe absent for one or more days of this project. You'll still be able to get something done. But this next step will really take our artwork to the next level. I'm going to stick with the same color scheme I used when painting my fish. So where I have the end here, where it's sort of this magenta color, I'm going to stick with a magenta and then create the same color blend or gradient that I did underneath. When I'm coloring with the colored pencils, one of the things that I can choose to do is I can choose to burnish with the colored pencil. Burnishing looks like when you color over top of it so many times that it starts to look smooth. If I zoom in right now, you can still see some texture. If I wanted to start to smooth it out or create a burnishing effect, I could use one of my colored pencils. Often I like to burnish with a lighter color and really color over top to create this waxy, glossy effect. Already you can see in this one part of the fin compared to the others, it's really bright, it's really vibrant, it's really making our whole fish stand out. I could continue to add this effect to the other fins until my fins are starting to look more like this. What that would look like is just taking my time with the colored pencils. You can also, if you don't want to burnish, still use the colored pencils to brighten up the colors. I could even draw more lines for texture. There's a lot of options with the colored pencils to really create that interesting effect. I am sort of trying to, as I'm thinking about adding color, color in the same direction as the movement of my fins. So I'm coloring along these same lines that I drew instead of across them. And I'm also really taking my time and paying attention to where my pencil is going. I'm also not coloring right over top of the Sharpie lines because I sort of want to preserve them. You may notice that darker Sharpie lines to show up better. Since I used a light orangish color, my Sharpie lines are a little bit more subtle. So it's really sort of about the artwork effect that you want. If your artwork is totally dry and you want your art lines to stand out more than they did, you could always go over top of it with a black Sharpie as well. That's another way to make your details stand out even more. So I'm sort of working along the fin here with this color. I think it's really efficient to work on one color section at a time and then switch colors. After I finish this fin with this magenta color, then I might work on the next color in my color gradient. My gradient is arranged in color order, so I'm following the same wheels in the same pattern in the color wheel. So I started for me with magenta, then red, then orange, then yellow, because I think if you work in a color wheel order, it's going to blend together really nicely and make your final product look really nice. But that's an aesthetic personal preference. You can choose if you want to try combining different colors in a different order. It's really up to you because you are the artist. Another thing I could consider is thinking about how I want to make the fins, or scales rather, stand out, or if I want to add any more detail to these fins up at the front here. I think the color pencils are a great way to add even more attention and care and detail to our beautiful betta fish artworks.